Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 615, November 22nd, 2018. Thursday, Thanksgiving Day. Happy Thanksgiving everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. I do wish all of you to have a wonderful turkey day, and hopefully you won't get in too many fights with your liberal relatives. Fortunately, I don't have to worry about that because I don't have any. My entire family are conservatives and hardcore Trump supporters. So we have a good turkey day. It's all good. And hopefully you all have a good one as well. Let's get to the news of the day. Well, the pit poodle, Trey Gowdy, who is going to exit stage left here very soon, but not before getting in one last dig. That's right, he's decided that he's going to launch a probe of Ivanka Trump's emails. The pit poodle, Trey Gowdy, wants to have an investigation. What's he got? Let's see. About a month and a half. I'm sure he'll be right on that. He'll be all over that. Guarantee it. He's not interested in the Right Reverend Clinton's emails, the emails on the Wiener laptop that are sitting there that haven't been looked at, and he's well aware of that. He's not interested in looking at those emails on the Wiener laptop. Not interested in the Clinton Foundation. Not interested in Uranium One. And he thinks Uncle Bob the Executioner is a great guy. And Rod Rodenstein, he's straight as an arrow. Honest as the day is long. That's our boy. Trey Gowdy. I have a lot of people on this channel from South Carolina. Some of them keep telling me from time to time how much they like Trey Gowdy. I can't figure out why. I'm watching this guy for years. You know, he's good in front of a camera. He puts on a hell of a show. I got to admit, he's quite entertaining. But as far as results, he doesn't get any. I'm actually glad he's leaving the Congress, but, no offense to those of you in South Carolina who like Trey Gowdy. That's just fine. I just happen not to be a fan. Mueller has responded to Papadopoulos' attorney's request to reverse his plea. And they've responded with a statement saying the defendant received what he bargained for, and holding him to it is not a hardship. Well, his entire ordeal has been a hardship, it appears to me. First of all, when he pled guilty, he wasn't aware of the evidence that now exists, that he was framed. His career is pretty much on hold. He's having a difficult time, I'm sure, making a living when your name's in the news for lying to the FBI and you're going to jail and you were part of Trump-Russia collusion. Not a good thing to have on your resume. What does Uncle Bob the Executioner know about hardship? Nothing. He created a lot of hardship for a lot of people. He's ruined a lot of lives, and he's trying to ruin some more if he can. But as I said, for two reasons, I think Papadopoulos should do the 14 days. First of all, he'll get a lot larger settlement when he can say, yeah, I had to do 14 days in jail. And based on that, that will really help sell his case for the civil suit he's going to have if and when the truth comes out. And I certainly would love to see him sit in front of Congress. He's dying to do it and tell his whole story. Uncle Bob, what a disgusting human being. Just destroying lives. He doesn't give a damn. And look, I'm no big, lover of Papadopoulos or anything like that. He just seems to me like a young guy. Seems like a pretty honest guy. He got caught up in something way over his head. He got framed. He's thrown into a bad situation. They tried to set him up. planting the $10,000 on him. He was smart enough not to come back to the U.S. with it. They had spies and informants trying to set him up. And the guy was just, looks to me like he was just a young guy trying to make his way in this world, trying to do the best he could. He's a pretty smart guy. I think, went to Princeton? There's nothing wrong with Papadopoulos. He just got caught up in something that's much larger than him. And like I said, I think he should do the 14 days. I think it'll help him get a larger settlement. But also, from a legal standpoint, if he is successful, and I don't think he will be, but if he is successful at being able to have the judge overturn his, or allow him to reverse his guilty plea, what that actually means is that he could then be taken back to court by Uncle Bob the executioner for his original charge, which was that he lied to the FBI. And he did. It was a white lie, and it was whether he knew he got the dates wrong or he accidentally got the dates wrong, I don't know. But he said that he met with Mifsud before he worked for the Trump campaign, when it was after. That was primarily what they got him on. A process crime. But it's still considered lying to the FBI. And you can get a year in jail, and probably I forget what the fine is, like 20 grand or something. But, theoretically, Uncle Bob, and he probably would do it, could take Papadopoulos back and say, okay, well, he doesn't want to plead guilty anymore to lying to the FBI. Well, here's his statement, and here's the facts. He even admits that he gave us the incorrect information when we asked him when he met with Mifsud. He will be found in court as lying. He told the FBI something that wasn't true. Now, true, it was a frame-up, it was a setup, it was a process crime, they were playing him. None of this should matter. He shouldn't be looking at any time or any crime or anything like that. It's BS. But in a court of law, he could be found guilty for that, and then the FBI wouldn't be cutting a deal with him. They would try to hit him with the max. He could end up with a year in jail and a $20,000 fine instead of 2 weeks and $10,000. So, I just as a practical matter, I think if I were him, I would do the 14 days, but I would be trying to give my public testimony in front of Congress. I would be on Twitter every day like he's doing. I would be doing every interview I could find like he seems to be doing. It's up to him and his attorneys what they do. But my advice would be do the 14 days, get that over with. You can do 14 days. It's not that hard. Do your 14 days and then get your lawyers and file a civil lawsuit. Chief Justice Roberts has rebuked Trump for describing the Ninth Circuit Court judge as an Obama judge. Yeah, and then Trump came back at him and said, yeah, he is an Obama judge. And it's pretty clear with the point Trump was making, that this judge on the Ninth Circuit Court, appointed by Obama, made a ruling that is not going to be upheld. It is going to be overturned. And it's a very bad time to make such a ruling because you have this crisis on the border with the invasion. And it is an invasion. The definition of invasion is unwanted entry. And that's what it is, Mr. Acostas. So, yes, Trump's right. And John Roberts, he's the guy who said that Obamacare was legal, but you just got to change it. You got to change it to a tax instead of a contribution or whatever they had it as. Yeah, Obamacare will be legal, but you got to do it as a tax. So it was Roberts that gave us Obamacare for all practical purposes. And the fact that John Roberts, a hack, is trying to continue this illusion that just because these guys get elected as judges and put on a black robe, all of a sudden they're above politics. All of a sudden they're not part of the swamp. Bullshit! Look at the rulings these guys make. The President of the United States has full authority. Read Article 1. I should go over there and get my Constitution and sit here some night and read Article 1. I should sit here and read Article 1. The President has full authority to make decisions on who could be considered a threat to the country, entering our country, and he can stop them. He has that right. This was a political decision by an Obama-appointed judge. To pretend these judges are not a bunch of political people. Didn't he watch the Kavanaugh hearings? Where were you, John Roberts, during the Kavanaugh hearings? You don't think this stuff's political? You don't think these judges are political? They're political activists in robes. Look what they've done to this country through court rulings. None of it constitutional. This idea that we can't question judges. Oh, they're above reproach. Once you get that black robe, hell, you're good to go. You're above politics. Bull. Bull. All the black robe does is empower them to even become more politically involved, you might say. And more politically motivated. Not that there aren't good, fair, decent judges. There are. But this idea that you can't criticize a judge, especially when he pulls a stunt like this, Mr. Roberts. He knows exactly what Trump was talking about. And he knows exactly that that ruling by that Ninth Circuit Court judge was purely a political move. Was it constitutional, Justice Roberts? Are you saying, Justice Roberts, that you agree with this Ninth Circuit Court judge? That the president cannot determine who can enter the country? Who he can determine may be a threat to the country? Or maybe just breaking our laws? You are aware of things called laws, aren't you, Justice Roberts? And what does the law say about people entering the country? And what was the judge's ruling? What a hack. What a hack. A Bush appointee. A Bush appointee. That shouldn't surprise us. He says that we do not have Obama judges, Trump judges, Bush judges, Clinton judges. We have extraordinary group of dedicated judges doing their level best to do equal right to those appearing before them. Aren't you the judge, Judge Roberts, who's over the FISA court judge, Judge Collier? Dedicated judges doing their level best to do equal right. Did they do equal right to Trump in the FISA court, Judge Roberts? Have you read the Collier 99-page FISA court document, Judge Roberts, about the private contractors accessing the NSA database via the FBI's records, storage records? Are you familiar with the abuses on the FISA court? Signing off on FISA warrants on someone who they had no evidence was acting as an agent of a foreign government. A complete fraud, a complete setup for the purpose of spying on the presidential candidate of the opposite party to destroy him. And when that didn't work, to try to get him impeached. Is that the group of extraordinary individuals who are dedicated to doing their level best, to doing equal right? I'm not buying it. Not buying it. Hang him. Fox is being blamed for the losses in California and especially Orange County. They're being blamed because before the polls closed on election night, Fox called the House for the Democrats while they were still voting in California. And by the way, in case you didn't know it, there is an investigation going on in Maricopa County. Some extraordinary things happened in Maricopa County. Did they not, Mystery? Well, we were talking about Papadopoulos a little earlier. Got a couple things on him today. This is another story which of course is just a story that on Monday is when he is supposed to report to jail for his 14 days. Monday. So he went to court 2 weeks ago. Mueller has responded today, and we expect that certainly by Friday, I would think, has to be by Friday, I would think, the judge will have to make a ruling. I think they're going to rule against Papadopoulos, and he's going to go to jail for 2 weeks. That's my guess. And I think in the long run, it'll benefit him. Maybe he'll get a conjugal visit from his wife. He'll enjoy that. The London Telegraph is reporting that MI6 is battling to stop Trump from declassifying information about Russian election meddling. And apparently this is continuing. We heard about it before. Trump said it. I had foreign allies that called and asked me not to declassify this. But apparently this is ongoing. And apparently MI6 is contacting members of Congress, people at the Department of Justice, the FBI, the intelligence community. They're working every angle they have to bring as much pressure as they can on Trump not to declassify what would be very embarrassing to them, because it would show that they were part of a coup. Mr. Breedlove, Mr. Johnson, Papadopoulos also says, when he was being interviewed by the Australian, that's a TV program in Australia, but the interview actually was in Los Angeles. He wasn't in Australia. They're in Los Angeles right now because his wife is doing some photo shoots for the modeling agency she works for, an Italian modeling agency that's shooting some stuff out in California. And but they interviewed him out there, this TV station called The Australian or something. And Papadopoulos says, of course, that they were asking him about his meeting with Alexander Down the Hatch Downer. And Papadopoulos says, hey, look, man, there were 3 different intermediaries that were involved in setting up the meeting between Downer and Papadopoulos. They all 3 have connections to intelligence agencies. He said that he has learned that the meeting was recorded, and there's a transcription of it. Mark Meadows is trying to get his hands on that. Papadopoulos says about 2 minutes after he sat down with Downer, Downer started ripping him about criticizing the TPP and criticizing David Cameron. Papadopoulos says within 2 minutes that Downer literally picked up his camera phone and put it right in Papadopoulos' face like he was taking a picture, and then set it down on the table. And Papadopoulos says he believed that he was recorded. And of course, Mark Meadows is suggesting that he somehow knows or has heard or believes that there is a recording of that interview. And Pops believed that he was set up. Here's another little bombshell Papadopoulos dropped, is that he says that he plans on running for Congress. He said he hasn't decided whether to run as a Republican or an independent. Says he plans on running for Congress. So I asked a question yesterday to a lot of my subscribers who are live in the UK or visit the UK or have dual citizenship or travel there or whatever, or people who are in the UK actually have some, feet on the ground sort of information for us. It's, from the States we can read a lot of things, watch a lot of videos and things and such, but it's not the same as actually being there, So I was trying to get the view of some people who are there, and very good comments from some of our UK viewers. So Lisa said that, of course, most of the Brexit people there are beyond exasperated, and she says that it very well could cause a riot if they don't get an actual Brexit. And that's kind of what I'm thinking. Riot is kind of a tricky word. I would say protests. I would say backlash. I would say things like that, but I'm not on the ground there. She is. So maybe riot is the correct word. We'll find out. I know there's a lot of unhappy Brexiteers And they have every right to be. They voted for Brexit. They won the referendum. And they should have left it by now. What they've got was Theresa May cutting a deal that never really actually gets them out of the European Union. And she's basically saying, well, you can take my bad deal or no deal. Bad deal or no deal. That's the type of thing that we always get from the deep state. That's how they work you. Well, yeah, we know that you hate us, and we know that you know that we suck, but we can do this to you, or we can do something worse. That's the game they play until people actually do riot and start dragging people out and hanging them. All of the French Revolution. Not that I'm calling for that by any stretch. I don't want to see a guillotine in the streets of London. But yeah, I mean, the Brexiteers, people who wanted the Brexit, they won the vote, and by God, they should be able to leave the European Union, take back their sovereignty, take back their country, make their own decisions about their own economy, their immigration policy, their fishing policy, and everything else that's being affected. And they pay an ungodly amount of money to belong to the damn EU. Plus, it sets a precedent. The precedent needs to be set that you can tell the Europeans to kiss your ass and walk away. Because if I remember correctly, as I understand it, all these countries that joined the EU were told that they could, if they ever wanted to leave the EU, they could do so based on their constitutional requirements. But it doesn't look like that's the way it's being handled. It looks like it's being based on what the EU wants. Because that's what Theresa May wants. And too many in the British Parliament and the House of Commons who talk out of both sides of their mouth. They're not straight players. Thank you so much, Lisa. We also had Mike, who said that they may very well end up getting Boris Johnson. Well, Boris Johnson is pro-Brexit, but he's a hack. He can play it either way. But it could be worse. He says they could also end up with Jeremy Corbyn. Now, that would be very bad. That would be pretty bad. You do not want Jeremy Corbyn. But Mike agrees with Lisa in a lot of respects. Lisa said that people were exasperated. Mike says that people were pretty bleak. And I can understand why. They're bleak and they're exasperated. I can perfectly well understand it. We feel the same way here in the U.S. We just watched a coup go down. And now we're being told that if the president attempts to prosecute the criminals, that he could be impeached for going after his political enemies. Try that one on. Try that exasperation and bleakness. Brian says that May will not get her Brexit deal through the House. Very interesting, Brian. That kind of would be, I guess, the minority opinion right now. A week ago, that kind of looked like what a lot of people thought. But as we move farther down this road, it's beginning to look like Theresa May is going to give them a bad deal or no deal choice. And a lot of people think it will get through. But Brian, your opinion is valued. And you say that you don't think the deal will get through. Well, that tells us a lot. It tells us that there is a lot of uncertainty about exactly what is going to happen. A lot of uncertainty. No one seems to really know. Then we have Gigi Tudor, who says the plan always was to avoid Brexit and that May will likely be sacrificed. Oh, you're absolutely right, Gigi. The plan always was. Always. From day one after Brexit, the plan always was to make sure it did not happen. And this deal is exactly what they've put together. They've drug it out and drug it out and drug it out. They brought up Article 50 or 51 or whatever the hell it is to try to delay it some more. They've been playing these parlor games only to get to this point. What they were hoping was to drag it out so that people would lose interest and forget about it and think, oh, well, we don't get Brexit. Yeah, we voted for it. Yeah, we should have got it. But, oh, well. So they're hoping that the passions would die down. But according to Lisa and others who I've seen interviewed and seen talk about this, there's still a lot of passion out there for Brexit. And a lot of people don't like what's happened. And from this side of the pond here in the USA, it's looking to me like Brexit or getting out, or just anybody trying to get out of the EU, the European Union, is a lot like Hotel California. You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave. Ocasio-Cortez, Marty Feldmanized Cortez, is now supporting Pelosi. She says that 16 of the people that signed that letter would be more conservative than Pelosi. That's bullshit. And also 14 are males. Uh-oh, can't have that. Few are people of color. And because that's important, we definitely want to make sure that they're the right color. And of ideological diversity. What the f is ideological diversity? Bet she can't spell it. Or even explain it. So what's going on here? It's just like I told you a few days ago, and I've been telling you for a week and 2 weeks now. Pelosi's got the hammer, brother. She got the hammer. And she just simply called, well, she didn't. She had one of her, a couple of her thugs go pay a visit to Ocasio-Cortez and explain to her exactly how things do work. And ask her if she wanted to be 4 blocks down the street in a shoebox. With no phone, no computer, no windows, no heat, no air, nothing. No closets, nothing. No security, nothing. Your office will be the janitor's closet. You will not be on any committees. We will defeat you in your next election. Oh, and we've got some things on you. We've got a little dossier on you. Yeah, a little dossier. They know everything she's ever done. She was a bartender. A lot of people talk to bartenders. Oh, I bet they had all kinds of dirt on her, man. So she's now supporting Pelosi. Game, set, match. Maggie Haberman. Of course, whenever you hear the name Maggie Haberman is a straight-up CIA asset. She writes hit pieces for the CIA. Lately, it's been Trump and people around Trump. Anything that she writes, you can bet, was pumped directly to her through the CIA. Straight up. Maggie Haberman. Absolute 100% total, literally works for the... I bet she actually gets a paycheck from the CIA. I'm sure she's being paid. She just sits there and waits for her email for them to tell her what to write today. So she's written this story saying Trump wanted to order the Department of Justice to prosecute Comey or Clinton, according to 2 people familiar with the conversation. That's her sources. 2 people familiar with the conversation. Who are they, Maggie? They work for the Central Intelligence Agency, just like you do. Now, that's at the beginning of the story. But if you read all the way down to the bottom of the story, you get about 3/4 down, that's when you get to the part that supposedly the person that Trump told to do this, his lawyer, Mr. McGahn, the lawyer for Mr. McGahn, when asked about this, said no truth to it whatsoever. And then McGahn totally denies that Trump ever came to him and said, I want you to prosecute Hillary and Comey. Now, he said that publicly. He tweets it constantly. It's pretty obvious that he wants Comey and the rotten Reverend Clinton prosecuted. Who doesn't? They committed major crimes. Major crimes. But this has certainly got everybody talking, which is exactly what it was designed to do. Why? Because they're laying the groundwork. Because the Democrats didn't get the Senate, and they know that Trump's gotten rid of Sessions, and they know that he definitely wants to drain the swamp, and he definitely wants to get after the people who went after him. Duh! You don't have to be a genius to figure that one out. So what are they doing? Well, they're laying the groundwork for their defense. Which is, well, Trump is using the power of the presidency to go after his political enemies. Isn't that classic? He's going after his political enemies. So, just as a logical person, if I were sitting there talking to a liberal like Maggie Haberman, I'd say, wait a minute, you're saying that it's wrong to go after your political enemies. Is that what you're saying? And they, yeah, a president shouldn't use his power to go after his political enemies. Really? Well, what if there was some evidence that may have happened in 2016 with Obama using the power of the presidency to go after his political enemy, who was President Trump, candidate Trump at the time. And he had some help from the FBI, the DOJ, the CIA, the NSA, the DNI, foreign governments, the Right Reverend Clinton, private law firms, private research firms that do political assassinations via the media, paying media organizations to run their lies. What if there's evidence, Mrs. Haberman, enough evidence to suggest that there's probable cause that a crime may have been committed? Shouldn't we look into that? Because just like you said, it's wrong to go after your political enemies. Maggie. You bitch. Happy Thanksgiving. Well, it appears that we now know the going price to get rid of Megan Smelly for NBC. It's going to cost them $30 million to get rid of Megan Smelly. That's the final deal. Adam Schiff is now hiring money laundering and accounting experts to probe Trump's ties to Russia. Yeah, Uncle Bob spent 2 years doing the same damn thing, and he ain't going to find crap. Neither will you, bug-eyed fool. Ron DeSantis got 18% of the black female vote in Florida. Pretty strong. Well, the Clintons, the world's biggest grifters, began their evening with the Clintons tour this weekend. It all begins this weekend, and you can get a ticket for $750 for the good seats, or if you want to sit in the peanut throwing section, you can get a ticket for $200. You know, they're undercutting Michelle My Bill Obama. She's looking for $1,239. So it looks like a little price war there going on between the Clintons and Michelle My Bill. Who would you rather go see? Boy, you couldn't pay me $750 plus $1,239 to go sit in the peanut throwing section to hear either of them. You could double that and I still wouldn't go. Well, it appears that Barack Hussein Obama has shown up at a Chicago food bank. Of course, he had his camera crew with him to make sure they get it all on film. Then we have this nut over at CNN, the fake news network, saying that her name is Kirsten Powers. I think I know who she is. She's nuts. She says that you can't support Trump and not be a racist. She just called 63 million people in the country racist. Well done. That'll generally will help your ratings a lot. That will generally help your ratings a lot, calling 63 million people in the country racists. Well done. John Huber will be called to testify on December 5th to answer questions on his probe of the Clinton Foundation. That should be entertaining. He's supposed to be looking also at the FBI and DOJ corruption in regards to the FISA warrants on Carter Page. I don't know anything about Huber. He hasn't turned up anything. I don't know anything. I don't know what to think. Criminals appear to be running free and wild to me. They don't look like they've been questioned by him. I don't know if the FBI informant, Mr. Campbell, he seems to have the entire story. I don't know if he's ever even interviewed him. I don't have much confidence in Mr. Huber. I know some of you do. That's fine. That's good. Hey, did any of you see the clip of Shepard Smith and that when he was doing the roundtable interview? I guess he thought the camera wasn't on him. He literally whips out a little compact like a woman and starts powdering his face. You gotta watch that clip. It's hilarious. Very short but very funny. We have Cindy McCain saying she will never forgive Trump. Well, I'll never forgive you, your husband. And didn't her husband refer to her on an occasional basis as you effing C word? I think that was his pet name for his wife, Cindy. Effing C word.